welcome to Autocar Professional. What a time to be in the automotive industry. And I'm, of course, joined by Mr. Shreshth Mishra, who's the co-founder at Simple Energy. It's very interesting to have you here with us, especially when the EV scooter segment is going through such a transformation. Look at the kind of adoption curve it is seen. Let me start with that. How do you look at the overall outlook of the industry? How has the growth been so far? If you could start with that, build a little on that, and then we can obviously talk about your company in particular.
Sure. First of all, hi to your subscribers and watchers. The industry has seen a significant growth. When we talk about, let's say, pre-COVID era or something around 2020, the penetration was close to 0.4, 0.5%, and today we are standing at 4 or 5%. That's like 10x growth in the last, I would say, 4.5 years, right? So the market has grown. People are open to adopting electric vehicles, not just two-wheelers, but other segments as well. Yeah. But when we talk about 4%, it's only about two-wheelers specifically. So the market is there, and there's a huge demand coming from not just the tier 1 cities, but from tier 2, tier 3 cities as well.
Okay. How much of a role does policy play in sort of, I know there's PLI from the manufacturing side, we were talking about demand incentives, then the industry sort of moved towards the supply side incentives. So, and now there's an understanding in the industry that the startups and even companies will have to sort of prepare for a subsidy-less era because eventually they're going to disappear. So how do you read the whole policy perspective, subsidy support, and is there any expectation from the government going forward in that regard?
No, definitely the present government has helped the industry in a great way, from starting from FAME 1 to FAME 2 and now PM E-Drive subsidy government that the government is providing, not just to the two-wheelers but other segments as well. But of course the businesses have to be built independent of subsidies, and that is what we are also working on. And we have developed the complete stack in-house, be it the motor, battery packs, BMS, the softwares, hardwares, everything in-house. That helps us in gaining control over the quality, at the same time the cost, because when we are developing a product, we keep that subsidies are temporary in our mind while developing, and we build our business models and products that way. So that's something that we have been focusing on. The government is helping us, not just on the vehicle side, but also on the infrastructure side, because that's a hindrance that people have had in the past, right? That where to find chargers and how to charge your vehicles. And the government now, with the PM E-Drive subsidy scheme, they have implemented the subsidy for the chargers as well.
Huge focus on
yes,
chargers.
And that has helped a lot, and that will be paving the way from 4% to probably around 20-30% by 2030.
Okay, from a policy and subsidy point of view, what are still some of the pain points that you would want to address going forward?
See, for example, the PLI when was introduced was specifically for major players, right, which had huge capitals. For startups like us, which were just starting up, we were focusing on developing the product, and the PLI is given to a specific amount of investment that is done by the OEMs or the companies, right?
Correct.
So I think that extension for the startups or new age companies would also help. At the same time, commonizing the chargers for two-wheelers is also a problem that people have been facing towards, like, because let's say X company has a different charger, Y has a different charger. So bringing them to a common platform, and just like four-wheelers, if you have a common charging platform, charging algorithm, charger, that would help like penetrate the EVs even further for two-wheelers and three-wheelers both.
Yeah, interoperability is a huge issue when it comes to two-wheeler electric vehicle players. Do you see the market moving towards more synergy when it comes to other competitive landscape in the market?
Definitely. In fact, we are also open when we are trying to approach other OEMs also to bring them to a common platform, to build an Android-like platform so that everybody can leverage and develop their products on that. So that way the customer gets benefited. Also, the ecosystem is also benefited with that.
Okay, what would you say is ailing the EV sector right now? I know like PVs, globally it has seen a lot of sort of demand blip, a sort of slowdown, if we may call it that. In India, story has been very different because two-wheelers is a story very unique to the Indian market. So how do you see the market developing? Is there like these challenges are real in terms of EV adoption, awareness issues, even like we're still at that early adoption curve. So how do you see that developing going forward?
So it is going ahead. Like people in the tier 2, tier 3 cities today also know about electric vehicles, not just two-wheelers, three-wheelers, and in fact buses are running around because of the government's initiative, right? So that has helped a lot. Of course, the first thing that the consumer has in its mind, or his or her mind, is that the cost of running the vehicle. Of course, the total cost of acquisition is lower than compared to the traditional IC engine vehicles, and that is what the focus has been for the companies and for the consumers as well. So that has helped in increasing the penetration, and going forward with a lot of local manufacturing happening in terms of the semiconductors, lithium ion cells, that the cost will also come down for the upfront cost of acquisition. That is one of the challenges that people feel, that upfront cost is higher. So probably that will come down, and that will help the penetration even further.
What, if you could build on that, what are the factors that could help this cost parity come in with the ICE variants?
So majorly it's the semiconductors being manufactured outside and the lithium ion cell, because battery is the one of the major components in terms of costs, right, for the electric vehicles. So once the lithium ion cell is manufactured here and the semiconductor is manufactured here, probably that will help the cost be down by 20-30% even more. So that would make it even comparative or probably lower than the IC engine vehicles that are there today.
Got it. And it's already moving in that direction.
Yes, yes.
Talk a bit about your company now and help our viewers understand about Simple's growth plans, expansion targets going forward. How do you see the penetration deeper into the Indian markets? Who's your core customer today, if you could start by defining that?
So when we talk about Simple, we started back in 2018. We are six-year-old company, and we have two products on the road today, Simple 1 and Simple.1. And our focus, now we have opened around 10 dealerships today, and we are expanding furthermore. So we would be available in all the major cities by end of March is what our target is. At the same time, we are introducing further more products that will help us penetrate deeper into the tier 2, tier 3 cities as well. Okay. So the product pipeline is already in the place, and we'll be rolling it out in the next 12 to 18 months. That will be on the road, probably 3-4 more products on the road that will help people choose better, because we have been focusing on the value driven products. At the same time, not compromising on the quality or the customer experience, because these are the most critical parameters, because two-wheelers or three-wheelers or any kind of automotive product, you'll be riding on road, and the safety has to be of the utmost priority. And that is what our focus has been since day one.
So tier 2, tier 3 cities are going to be major focus areas of expansion going forward?
They would be in the coming time, but currently we are looking at being in the tier 1 cities to start with, probably all the capitals, all the major cities of the country, and then look at the tier 2, tier 3 cities as well. By March, we are looking to have around 30 to 35 dealerships across India.
Okay. And like you talked about your products, if you could help me understand the segmentation and how it's divided as per the audience. So who's your core customer, and how would you sort of differentiate yourself, because the competitive landscape again is becoming really crowded with startups as well as legacy players sort of coming, like looking at the space really aggressively. So how do you sort of look at the competitive landscape?
See, in terms of the problem or the challenges that customer face, it's common across the domain if I talk about, right? One of them is the range anxiety. Second is the lack of charging infrastructure, and that is what our focus has been since day one. So today our Simple 1 is the longest range certified scooter in the Indian market with 212 kilometers of certified range, and we intend to increase it furthermore. At the same time, with the Simple 1 you get a portable battery pack, so you do not have to be specifically dependent on a public charging infrastructure. You can take that battery pack out, you can charge it, let's say, on an 8th floor, 9th floor in a cafe.
Swappable battery.
Not swappable, but it's a personal battery pack that you can charge it just like your phone. You can take it out, detachable battery pack. You can take it out, you can charge it anywhere, plug it back, you still get a range of 60 to 70 kilometers with that, right? At the same time, we are now focusing on innovating a further ahead and reducing the charging time. And as I said, that we would want to build a common infrastructure for charging so that everybody gets benefited, not just the OEM like us, but also the customers that are there on the ground, which feel that charging is a problem to solve, right? So that is what we're trying to work out on. And it's not the price that decides the market for us. Everybody is a customer at the end of the day, because range anxiety is a real problem that people talk about till today.
Yeah.
And since we started back in 2018, we have been focusing on that, and that is what our major goal is, to focus to solve the problems of the people, irrespective of the pricing point. But to start with, we are in the premium segment, but we would be in the premium and the semi-premium segment, around 1.2 to probably 1.8.
Okay, but isn't the major area of, even within the EV segment, the major area of growth is going to come from the mass volume segment? So how are your strategies placed to expand in that space?
So even if I compare it with, let's say, the mass market of the IC engine segments, it's around 1 lakh kind of a market, right? 1 to 1.1. And we are trying to solve the same problem, and we are trying to be in the same segment, probably 1.2. But the overall cost that you save in terms of the service cost or the running cost and all of that, the value proposition of course is higher, because you get more features, more connected features and more of data coming from your scooter, right? So that's an additional advantage to the customer without paying any extra premium to that. So that is what our focus is, of course, that market that we are talking about, the mass market, is also looking at being an aspirational market. So they are looking to upgrade from a product that they have, and that is what we are trying to do here.
Okay. So it's like an upgrader audience
Yes.
that you're sort of targeting. Good point. So just lastly, I wanted to understand, looking into the future, how do you predict what are these trends that will sort of shape up the industry going forward? Are there any global trends that you sort of borrow from and that are sort of translating into the Indian market? Or India will obviously have its own story to tell and like the transition that it's going through. So if you could leave us with the key future trends that you think will shape the industry.
See, there are two ways of looking at it. There was a pre-COVID era when India used to follow the global trends, but post-COVID era, the demand has slowed down in the global market, but in India, it keeps on growing, right? So India is paving its own way, and we would be seeing a lot of trends that will be followed by the global market that would be coming from India, and that is what our focus is. From two-wheeler, three-wheeler, four-wheeler perspective, all of that vehicle, if you talk about, India is doing a great job. Of course, because of the population being so huge and the people are not able to afford currently because of the huge population and economic parity and all of that. So, but still, I think that the things that are developing in India and the trends that are developed in India will go to the global market, and you'll see a lot of Indian products outside India and people writing it, just like we have seen Japanese players importing or exporting to other countries, and we'll see Indian products being exported to other parts of the country.
So basically making for the world, for
Yes.
India and also for the world. How would you say your export potential is? How do you look at other international markets, and how is that, is that a focus area of growth right now?
Currently, we are focused on the Indian market, but of course, we are working on developing a complete different market for the global expansion. It's that the market is still there, the product is also ready. It's just that we want to focus on delivering in India first and then probably take it to the world. So the product is made in India, made for the world. That is what our goal has been since day one. And I think we are on the track to do that.
Sure. Thank you so much for your time and all the best.
Thank you so much.
I know it's a very interesting time ahead for the industry. We'll keep
Yes.
meeting you and
Sure.
discussing
Sure.
more about the industry. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.